Hey everyone, Snark with Snark's Domain, back at it again. I just realized I hadn't set up my my camera. Oh yeah, I've got to fix the focus. There we go. We are back. Wow, Philip Carroll is in the house, guys. You should check out Philip Carroll's YouTube channel. Can you post a link, Philip, in the comments to your YouTube channel so people can go subscribe? Philip had a great channel back in the day, and then it disappeared like 4 or 5 months ago. And radioactive gloves, yeah. And we weren't sure why, but Phil is back now. So let's try and build his channel back to where it was, to its former glory, and then some. So go check out Phil's channel. He's gonna, the Thermal channel. Yeah, at the Thermal channel. So go search for that. Maybe I can post it. Let's see. This is important. Let me see if I can find it here. I know I've subscribed to you already, so. Just give me a second here, boys. Priorities, what can I say? The Thermal channel. Thermal. channel. Yep, that's gonna work. Wait, is that the one? That's the one. Maybe it is. Shoot, okay. It must be at the thermal channel. 6 days ago. Welcome to the thermal channel.
Hello and welcome to the thermal channel. I thought it may be pertinent to discuss.
Oh yeah, okay. You're wearing orange gloves, yeah? You're still working through the format, but it's gotten much better traction than I thought. Nice. Okay, I'm gonna grab the link for this channel. 57 subscribers. Here we go. Control C. Is that the one, Philip? Let me know if I got it right. If not, I'll delete that one and find yours. Hopefully that's the one. Okay. So awesome. Yeah, you guys should definitely check out his video. He's tested out lots of different pastes and thermal putties, and has some pretty good videos on teardowns of cards and stuff. And it's going to be a growing channel, so definitely one to watch for. Okay, so I've been thinking of different ways on how to measure this without spending a small fortune on equipment that I can't afford to buy right now. And what I've got is shims. I'm gonna just test it out with these two shims. I've zeroed my calipers to be when the shims are together. I've flattened these shims both sides, so they're very flat and they're very straight. I've marked different marks on either side just to make sure I get it the same way together each time. And this is like, we're just gonna try it out. I don't know if this is the best way. It's probably not the best way, but it's the way that I thought I would try anyways. And the reason we got to do this is because not all thermal putties can get as thin as we would want them to. And there's a couple different reasons for this, but case in point, we've got some UTPA here. It's one of the higher performing putties that we have, and it's good, right? It's very good putty. It's soft enough, it's malleable enough to squish, but there's still a factor of minimum bond line thickness. Now, I'm not actually measuring true minimum bond line thickness. I don't have the equipment for that. Hopefully someone else with that equipment can test that out for us. If you know, you know. But in these putties, right, they start off with a silicone fluid, typically silicone. There are also non-silicone carrier fluids. And then they'll add powders, different kinds of powders that boost the thermal conductivity of the putty, making it transfer heat well. And they've got a certain size to them, but to further boost performance, you'll actually use different sizes of basically particles or balls. And you have to think about if you took a couple different balls, right? I mean, these are just cylinders, but this is a good example. You can see that inside the void in between these is like a smaller gap, and so you could put like smaller little particles in there. You would have different sizes of particles to fill in the voids. This is even exaggerated even more with actual spheres versus cylinders. So that kind of gives you an idea of they're going to use different sizes. And to really boost performance on the top end of things, you're going to have larger particles in general, I think, because then you're having more material that is just that pure boosting material, which is far better at transferring heat than the silicone oil is. So we're just gonna roll a bit of a log here. It's way too big. It doesn't need to be this big, and lots is gonna squish out, and that's okay. just going to make sure, yeah, I get this the right way. So I'm just going to squish it down how I would squish shims. And I'm going to apply a reasonable amount of force. I'm just holding. Holding pressure. Like, I could go more, but I'm kind of curious. Let's see. Let's see what that does. So I'm just going to trim off the sides. And let's get one of these guys here. Oh, Mitch, welcome to the stream. Could make a community compilation of useful channels to check. I definitely will. That's a good idea. I'll have to add that. WSS the OG, welcome to the stream. Hello, my fellow Albertan. Hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Holt, needing to get some pads for the GPU VRAM chips on my laptop. What's the currently best thermal pads for compression and heat transfer? Off the top of my head, and my gut is going to say Fonda 15 watt pads. And we're going to get to that in a couple minutes here, because that's an important thing I want to cover. All right, so I've compressed the UTPA in between these two shims here. I've roughly wiped the sides. I know I could like really clean them up, but I want to leave those marks on there for now. Yeah, that's case in point. Okay, I could maybe get this compressed more, but this is pretty close to what I thought. So we're looking at 0.33, 0.32. That's how thick the layer is currently of UTP-8. So it is soft, right? That compressing it is not the problem to a certain point, and that point is basically that point 0.36, 0.37. Well, now I kind of think that the prongs are maybe dirty, but not by that much. It's basically, you wouldn't be able to get this much thinner than 0.3. Okay, well, yeah, 0.34, 0.37. Let's just call it a 0.35 for UTP-8. So min layer. I will do more precise measurements of this in the future, for sure. But just for now, this is what I'm gonna do for a quick and dirty test. Which works well because I've actually applied these shims to a card before. Or similar shims, I should say. So it kind of roughly mimics what that would be like. Okay, so this one performs good. I would totally recommend UTP-8 for video cards. It's definitely one of the top options. There are other options too. And you could definitely use it for laptops. But if your laptop has gaps of like 0.2, 0.3, you're really pushing it, and you're going to have to apply quite a bit of force. If your laptop has gaps that are 0.5 or larger, I'd say you could totally use this putty without problems. And we're going to find that out because I'll be using it. I'm going to try using it anyways on my Boris laptop. We'll see how that all goes. But I guess the reason why we discovered this issue or concern is well, I saw like at least one post where they had some issues compressing the putty, and I didn't really take the post seriously because I was like, it's really easy to compress, but I hadn't tried to do such a thin layer up until recently. And then I did shims, and I was trying to get it compressed down to 0.1 of a millimeter on my my video card, my test card, because I've got 1.6 millimeter shims for my test card, and I had previously used TG PP10, and I've got it compressed down to that 0.1. I guess I can measure that now too. I got that measured, compressed, no problem last time. So then I just assumed I'd have no issues doing that with UTP8, and I did. I couldn't get it compressed. I kept running into core and hotspot issues, and then we had what, 1 or 2 people in the Discord do putty jobs on their laptops, and they were having issues too. So we need to figure this out so that before people buy stuff for their device, they kind of have a rough idea. So now we're going to try another putty, and we're going to try one that's really easy to compress. I'm going to catch up on the chat here. You love the Hulk green gloves. I legit bought these just because they're green, and they're gloves, and I needed some gloves anyways. Yeah, it's kind of like a radioactive slime kind of green, but we're going to roll with it for now. Does thinner is better apply in general to putty? Not necessarily. If anything, the thicker the putty, as long as the gap can handle it, is better. It's going to be less viscous, but there's, yeah, it just depends on the gap that you're trying to put putty in, really. I think there's going to be a trend. We're going to find out, but my gut says that there's going to be a trend where the highest performing ones are going to have a bit thicker of a bond line than the medium performing ones or the low performing ones. Now we're going to try Helai HY 256, one of my favorites. It's green. How could you not love it? It's good stuff. It's going to stick to my gloves a little bit. That's okay. Let's see. Johnny, Elijah Luke. Office Blue tack test? Mac tack. When? Totally. Let's do it sometime. I actually have some that I legit bought just to test. So we're going to do that, even if it sounds silly. WSSCOG, how are you measuring the density? Sorry, I ask a lot of questions. I actually don't measure the density. I am going for density. I typically go off of what the manufacturer claims is the density. Most of the good putties are like 3 or above. The highest performing ones are 3 to 3.65, something like that. The lowest performing ones are in that 2.6 mark density. If you're not sure, it's better to have a higher number in the putty calculator if that's what you're asking about. That way you'll have enough. And the density is really just to help you buy the right amount. After that, the density doesn't affect the putty calculator as far as the log dimension. The log dimension is literally just based off of the pad thickness and the pad width. So, all right. So we've got the Helai HY 256 in there. I'm going to press in a little bit more. Okay. That seems like it's basically bottomed out. It's not going to go too much further. It might make sense to test this out on the actual calipers themselves. The only problem is I'm noticing on these calipers the very point right here is touching, and there's, when these are together, there's like a little beam of light, a little crack of light on the prongs themselves. So I don't currently trust it along the entire length, but since we are using the back half here against the copper, and I zeroed it that way, it's close. It's not perfect though. This is not perfect testing. This is just quick and dirty, trying to figure some stuff out. So until we have time to find a better way of testing this. That's one tough ice cream sandwich. It is, yeah. See, I thought I'd be able to compress UTPA further when I was doing shims, and I was rudely mistaken that I couldn't do that. So, all right, check this out. I could maybe press a bit more even, but it looks like okay. So I wonder if I have that uneven. Sorry, I'm just going to press down a little bit more. And we're going to clean the sides a little bit. And we're going to read some... ooh. Here we go. Okay, there's putty there, which means I need to clean the prongs. I'm going to say a point. I'm going to say a solid 0.1, maybe less. But we're going to put 0.1 for now. So HY 256 0.1. And that also goes for 236, which is the more common one that you guys will see listed online. I'm going to try and catch up on the chat here. Yeah, cool. You should definitely look those pads up. They're pretty cool. Let's check something about those pads before we test another putty here. It's going to be really interesting, I think, for you guys. Okay, so these are Fonda 15 watt pads, and we are going to just cut ourselves a strip here. If I had scissors, I would. Ooh, you know what? We're just gonna. I'm sure this is gonna work. This is really quick and dirty. That'll leave me enough to test still, or I could buy some more. I'm not too worried. Okay, so this pad, one of my buddies, well, Ghost, was asking how compressible these Fonda pads are and how they compared to some upsiren pads. I think he had some upsiren pads already, and so I was like, "Oh, just give me a second, I'll check." So I took the two pads and I kind of like flopped them around and I like squeezed them a little bit by hand, and then I noticed something. This Fonda pad here is pretty soft. So let me zoom in if I can. I think I can zoom in. We're gonna change the oh, we messed up the focus. Okay, so we're just gonna squish it. You guys see that? So I did that, and it like almost held together, right, for the most part. It didn't crumble or crack. So then I took a bunch and I just started squishing it in my fingers. And it's firm. Like I'm not saying it's like a soft thermal putty, but it does resemble thermal putty. So it's probably a thermal putty based thermal pad, which do exist. Those are a thing. But that is pretty awesome. You know, you could totally roll that, and right, it's that's cool. I wouldn't hesitate if you had to use this as a putty. How thin could you get this stuff? I have no idea. We're gonna find that out. We could find that out right now. It's not a putty. Let's test it as if it were. All right, we are going to clean these copper shims up. Yeah, that stuff's pretty clean. We'll save that. That's good putty right there. 0.1, Helens Eye, good job. Now, Helens Eye putty, I believe it falls, what, 5 degrees down from the top thermal putties? But that doesn't really matter, because when your gap is 0.1 or 0.2 of a millimeter, you don't need ultimate performance from putty, you need ultimate compressibility. And I personally would still like to go with putty over paste. But to each their own. Like there are definitely people, even in the Discord, that would like to use thermal paste with shims, and you can. It's just not what my personal preference is. So I'll be careful to like make sure that I state it that way. That way other folks will know. Pendleton whiskey. Ooh, not for the kids. All right. It's good whiskey, though. If you guys are whiskey drinkers, I don't know. Probably messed up those shims, the marks, I'm thinking. But anyways. Thanks, you answered my question. This issue with UTPA in my current laptop is I have several places where the pads go and I have to squish it down with my fingers. I ended up noticing some chips where it had a gap as too much squished out. Oh yeah, for sure. Cool, so I'm going to clean it all up and just go with pads, as it's too hard to get putty the same thickness all over the motherboard. Oh, I mean, you can have different thicknesses of putty. That doesn't really matter too much. Mitch says, Snark, you've been lacking on your super reaction use. You got to pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. I'll have to try. WSS says, you guys should spam the heart button to juice YouTube algorithm. Does that work? If you want to, you guys can hit the heart button. I don't mind. Fate, good to see you on the stream, buddy. Ever tried using shims with thermal paste? Not yet. We are going to. We're definitely going to test that out. Even though I don't like it, we're totally going to try it, and I'll give it an honest effort, I promise. Kel Vale. Yes, temps go through the roof. Joshua, Midnight. Hey, Snark's Domain. Chat, hope all is well. All is pretty good. I have a baby boy now, a son. I also have a daughter. The son's doing good. He's like eating and doing all the other things babies are supposed to do, which I think you guys know what that is. So, sort of like clay. This one definitely feels like a clay, but and I don't know. I think it's stiffer than like a UX Pro, but in a pinch, you could totally use this, especially in a video card. I wouldn't hesitate in a video card. Laptop, I wouldn't use this at all in a laptop. So, okay, so single, double goes up here, and that's the up. Kind of got this sorted out a little bit. Okay, so this is a thermal pad. Yeah, I had to press pretty hard there. And when you're applying pressure, you want to apply pressure and hold for, let's say, 20 seconds, maybe. Still holding. Okay. That was maybe close to 20 seconds, but not quite. So we're going to trim the sides off. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I don't think it got super thin, but it's somewhat thin. Yeah, Colt. This pad is basically I've turned it into a makeshift putty. Yeah, so I could maybe get this more. This is the Fonda 15 watt pads. Seven, hey? Let's see if I can press a little bit more. Make sure the prongs are clean. Okay, so we got a bit more. I'm gonna say 0.47. I'm gonna say 0.6 for now. Was that the Honda 15 watt 0.6. Yeah, I'm probably going to save this stuff because it's kind of cool. I'll put that off to the side for now. WSS single malt, please. You're holding out for a single malt putty. Hey, maybe if like this is probably never going to happen, but if I ever make and sell a thermal putty in the future, which is like pretty unlikely because I don't think I have time to start a business and do that. My job and my personal life usually keep me pretty busy. But if I do, maybe we should like make it something funny like that, like a single malt thermal putty. That'd be cool. Yeah, those of you just joining the stream now, you guys should go check out Philip Carroll's YouTube channel. It's called the Thermal channel, right? I think we put the link. Copy. So if you guys haven't checked out Philip Carroll's YouTube channel yet, ooh, that didn't work. How did that not work? How do I copy this? I guess I have to go back to the channel. Just 1 second. Here we go. YouTube, Control C. I'm just learning how to copy and paste, folks. Don't go too hard on me. Yeah, you guys should check out Philip Carroll's channel. He had a great channel before, and it was growing. Things were going good, and then it disappeared about, I think, 4 or 5 months ago? Maybe 3 months ago? And I had no idea what happened, and was wondering if Philip was okay, where he had gone, and it was like radio silence, because I realized I didn't have like any other way of contacting him, email or anything, but now we got him in the Discord, so That won't happen again, that's for sure. We're going to make sure we keep track of you, Philip. We're going to keep tabs on you, buddy. Make sure you're doing okay. Because we got to stick together. You know, this thermal putty testing and paste testing dudes. It's a harsh world out there. And there's mean folks sometimes. I definitely lost the marks. Oh, that's perfect. They actually show up on the copper itself. Oh, all right. Let's catch up on the chat here. There'll be some OG type gets way more mainstream. We will see scented putty, like minty fresh if it's green, right? That'd be hilarious. A addressable LED putty. That's a good idea. I mean, you could pull something off like that. Anyways, Trex, is UTPA similar to U6 Pro? Yes and no. It's clearly a different like makeup. It's I don't know how I'd call it more grainy. I think what they did is they took like a base like fluid and took the general like recipe they had before, but then added more of a certain powder and probably like a thicker, like a larger grain, which would have boosted its thermal performance, but has now decreased how thin you can make it, right? That 0.35. You can't really get UTPA compressed smaller than that. And that took some force. Whereas the Helai 256, it's a very smooth consistency, but less performing by 5 degrees. But again, if you're on a laptop or on shims, you don't need the ultimate performance, and you need ultimate compressibility. Let's test the OG thermal putty that got us all here, TG PP10. That's right, we still have this icing piping bag, the same one filled with TG PP10, and this is, I spent a lot of time with this piping bag. It's special to me. It was a good racehorse until they put that racehorse down, and we had to find new ones, which ended up being a good thing. As much as I loved TG PP10 back in the day, and don't worry, I still have a large appreciation for this. It's there are some pretty high performing options out there now, and it's kind of exciting to just see where we're at these days with thermal putty. This stuff's been what, expired for a couple years? It's still soft. And I took it out of my, I took some out of my 3090 the other day, other week, I guess. It was still soft after 2.5 years of some pretty intense use. So yeah, so this stuff is even softer than Helai HY 256. I'm just going to press and hold. I think that's pretty good there. Might get it a little bit thinner, but not by much. Trex UTP8 is like the latest putty made by Upsiren. So they started off with U6 Pro. At least I think they started with U6 Pro, or did they have the both at the same time? Then they came with UX Pro, and then competition started heating up, and other manufacturers were catching up. Case in point, the CX H1300. They were like, oh, okay, we need to make an even better one. And yeah, I tested out some samples for them. That was last fall. yeah, basically almost a year ago. That's where I put all my, I saved my old TG PP10 from my one container that I bought of it. And I'm just cross-threading it now. This is great. Why am I doing that? Oh, it's because the lid. Wow. Sorry guys, I'm a little bit rusty. I haven't done a stream in a couple weeks. At least I think it's been a couple weeks. And yeah, so they decided to make a new one, and they were testing out different viscosities. I'm pretty happy with where the viscosity is at. But this test shows why some folks have been having problems in laptops. So that'll be good data for the community. And this is really rough. Like we'll find a way, if someone else doesn't test this, I'll find a way of testing this properly with like a fixed amount of force and all that stuff. And but for now, this is going to work. Febreze putty. Keep your video RAM nice and fresh. Okay. I'm kind of expecting this to go thinner. So we're going to press some more. Let's try that. Like I said, this is not scientific at all right now. This is just kind of winging it. This is what we do in Alberta. We just sort of we tried it, and if it works, I don't know. Good times. Yeah, okay. So I'm pretty sure I'm gonna say a 0.1. I mean, I've already confirmed that with Thermal Putty shims on my 3090 for 2.5 years. So TG PP10 0.10 millimeters. So that's good. I knew that one was going to compress fine. It's crazy how soft this stuff still is after being stored in, what, 22 to 25 Celsius room temperature for the last 2-3 years. Has it been 3 years or 2 that I've had this stuff? It's been a while. I'd have to look back of when I actually purchased this stuff. Bumped the thing, the boom, the mic boom. Yeah, it would totally make your gaming room smell good, which is probably not a bad idea to have something that can do that. Joshua McKnight. Oh, I've got a lot of chat to catch up on. Race to 100 for UTPA 8. Yeah, it's going to happen at some point. All-Star Player Geek. Thanks, Snark. Don't know if our convo on Discord influenced this. It actually, it partially did, for sure. Yeah, and I think also the thermal putty jobs people were doing. The two Tims you spoke with the other night. Perfecto. Cheers. Nice. Robert Starkey, coat string. If you have to go from UX Pro to UTPA 8, you have a bigger thermal dissipation issues to resolve than a thermal putty swap. Yeah. UX Pro is similar performance as UTPA 8, but U6 Pro you would be upgrading if you went to either. But I wouldn't buy UX Pro nowadays, guys. It's more expensive than UTPA 8. I would, if you're going to go with the upsiron putty, I would just go UTPA 8, to be honest. Nothing against UX Pro, it's just UTPA 8's either a little bit better, a little bit softer, a little bit cheaper. Yeah, seems logical. Yeah, I'm just going to keep plugging Philip Carroll until we get him to like 1,000 subscribers, so you guys can deal with it. code string. Yeah, I was just throwing a couple things at the wall, trying to pinpoint what even was wrong with Windows 11 G15 AE. Maybe it's too thick of a putty. Is your code string, is it your core and hotspot temps, or is it your VRAM? Because we could go with a softer putty like a Helai HY, and maybe you'll get better core pressure and contact that way. Could be. Yeah. The forbidden batter. Sorry, I'll scroll down here. Helai, hopefully I'm not saying that wrong. Would Upsiren U6 Pro be an upgrade to the stock pads in your laptop? Probably, depending on which U6 Pro you get. There's two U6 Pros. There's one from Upsiren from China. That's the one that performs quite good. And then there's the U6 Pro from Greece, from Computer Systems GR, and that doesn't perform very good at all. I've got a video that covers that, but you go watch it if you want to. But I think the main thing is the performance difference is quite a lot different. So depending on where you buy U6 Pro, you really have to be careful that you don't get the one that sucks. That seems like it might just be K5 Pro with some pink food coloring or whatever other coloring. It wouldn't have to be food coloring. I don't mind the color, I just don't like the bad performance. Yeah. You have a P1 Gen 6, but there's hardly any information about it online. I found one person brave enough to take the heatsink off and repaste it. It sucks when a lot of laptops out there don't have very good teardown guides. Sometimes you'll be lucky and there will be a really good one, and it's got pad and thicknesses and stuff. And then there's all those teardown videos where they don't even remove the heatsink. They'll unplug the battery, and they'll disconnect, the SSDs and take those out, and they'll show how to swap the RAM, but then they'll just leave the heatsink on, and you're like, what was the point of this? Those are the easy things to do. It was we want to see what's inside the heatsink, what kind of pads they use. Is it putty? Is it liquid metal? Is it paste? That's what I think. Trex, is it better to make the putties denser? For performance, yes. Yeah. In general, the denser the putty, the higher performing it is, but it's not always true. If you take Lee Poly SH Putty 3, it's supposed to have, off the top of my head, I think it's got a 3.5 gram per cubic centimeter, and it doesn't perform very well. So, but you won't really find a top performing putty that's into the 2s. They're all going to be in the 3s, 3.2 to 3.65. Right, I think it was Fonda that had was it 3.65 or 3.85? But and it performs really well. But that's just based off of the density of the oxides and nitrates that they're using. So most putties are, as far as I can tell, are most likely. I haven't tested this. I don't have the equipment to test out the materials inside the putty. I don't have a lab in that respect. It's just a computer desk with some, calipers and temperature sensors and HW info. That's what I got. But I believe a lot of the putties are using aluminum oxide, nitride, zinc oxide. There would be, what else? Maybe boron nitride. That's pretty high thermal conductivity. You could use diamond powder. That'd be even denser. But that'd be expensive and kind of cost prohibitive to make. So I don't think most people or most manufacturers would go that route. If I heard you right, you don't recommend Fonda pads for a laptop. What would your next suggestion be for pads on a laptop with an external GPU? Like, if you want pads, Fonda pads are good. We just turned one into a putty. Most pads can't do this. Yeah, I know it only compressed to 0.6, but if you could probably buy this pad in a 0.5, like it would be, I think it could compress more. It's like, it has a very high viscosity. So I'm not finding its true minimum bond line thickness. I'm finding the layer that I'm comfortable applying pressure to. I need to make a little press that applies, let's say, like 10 pounds or something to a specific surface area, and then see what the bond line thickness is of the layer of material and go off that. This is pretty rough. We're just kind of winging it here, but like WSS said, it is basically the Texas of Canada. I think I saw that somewhere in the comments. Yeah, the Texas of the north, for sure. So yeah, Fonda pads are good if you want to use pads. I personally recommend Thermal Putty, but that's just me. If you have a laptop with like thin thermal gaps right now, I would recommend Helai HY 236, or the green stuff here I got directly from Helai, the 256, a nice minty fresh green, and it's really soft. Right, it's matching compressibility with TG PP10, which is the original putty that I used with shims with no problem. So if you have a laptop with really thin gaps, if you have a laptop with like typical gaps of, like 1 millimeter and up, or even 0.5 and up, you could use a lot of putties. You could use UTPA, you could use Fonda LTP81, would be another good one. You could use Honeywell HT10000. That stuff's awesome. A little bit expensive and hard to get, but that is the current top putty, is the Honeywell stuff for sure. Oh, at Colt, Snark was actually more kind to them than I was when I tried them. Oh, the Fonda pads. Fair enough. Oh, hey, Lamb Tongue is here. That's awesome. Lamb Tongue. Just use putty. Yeah, man. Good to have you on the stream. And diamond powder doped paste is pretty low performance in my personal testing. Yeah, I've got some powder, but it performs worse in most cases than bulk GD. How does GD 900 perform? I think I just bought like 100 grams of it or something for dirt cheap. Maybe it wasn't 100 grams. I think it was a syringe I bought, but just for testing, we've got some of that stuff on the way. Yeah, Thermal Putty works pretty good. You just gotta not use too much. If you're using Thermal Putty on a laptop, then you want to buy 20 grams. But if you want to use pads, honestly, the Fonda pads are soft. This is very soft for a pad. Pads shouldn't be able to make this. Like, I know it's kind of cracking a little bit. That's not bad. I've seen much worse. Most pads would not be able to hold together again and constantly be reformed like this, or even like rolled into a, okay, that was like a weird cylinder. But if you want to go with pads right now, I would say the Fonda pads for a laptop. If you want to use putty, if you've got thin layers, go with the HY 236. You'll spend what, like $6 or something like that for 20 grams. If you've got a normal laptop that's got, not normal laptop, if you have a laptop with like bigger gaps, I would probably go with UTPA, because it's hitting the price to performance to accessibility mark. If you want the best of the best, Honeywell HT10000. You can either get it from CapLink or Eugenie KH. He's a YouTuber. That's where I got mine from Ukraine. Other than that, guys, I should probably go. It's I've got to go relieve my mom is visiting right now and helping with the baby, and I think she wants to go to bed. So I'm gonna leave this stuff here for now. I'll write this down somewhere. Well, it's on screen, so I've got a record of it, but I'll be measuring more putties, trying to find how thin we can make them, and we'll just get a rough list of like the top, 10 or so, 15, whatever, and go from there. And so if you want to use shims or a laptop with thin gaps, or just any laptop, maybe this will be helpful information for you guys. So I think I'm going to call it a night, though. Thanks for tuning in to my stream. Go check out Philip Carroll's YouTube channel. I'm going to post that one more time there, and let's rebuild his channel, because yeah, it sucks when a channel gets like just deleted for some reason. So welcome back, Philip. Good to have you, buddy. And I will catch you guys on the next one. Snark's Domain out.